And welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. I'm your host Dan, aka smAsho. We're looking at the sun in 304 angstroms here. This is 48 hours worth of solar activity, courtesy the SDO. Significant plasma filaments in the northwest as well as the southeast. A couple sunspots around the solar equator, which are cycle 24 sunspots. Let's look at more data. Here's helioviewer.org. There are the fields, and we've got a sunspot right here, a small group. It's currently beta class, and it's increased the chances of some X-ray flaring happening. And there you see the most current image of those filaments that could be releasing as we make the video. And by the way, this one's not being streamed live, so thanks everybody who tuned in. Next, we're looking at the real-time solar wind to see the phi angle has recently shifted. We'll show you more views of the sun later. Current solar wind density, 12.5 protons per cubic centimeter. And we did see a very slow increase of the solar wind speed. It never got to where my forecast predicted yesterday. So it looks kind of like a double puff coronal hole wind stream to me. What say you? Current solar wind speed 331 kilometers a second. And by the way, happy Independence Day. I would invite all of our viewers from wherever you're located to Mensa. Please, Mensa. No, I'm not inviting you to Mensa. I'm inviting you to Mensa. In other words, make Earth not suck again. Here's 4 hours of data on the magnetosphere. After this, we're going to show you ground magnetic perturbations. And we see very large extended plasmasphere areas and a very low amount of electrons. By the way, please leave us a comment and help our analytics. Next, looking at geospace ground magnetic perturbations to see some perturbations around Greenland and northern Canada, not so much over Siberia, and some south of the Indian Ocean there on the Antarctic continent. There's 4 hours of data of ground magnetic perturbations, courtesy University of Michigan. And a few movements at the end there over the Siberian North Pole as well. Next, here are the transients from Cygnus X3, and X3 has now moved back into a more active state. And at about 2.5, it's right around here now, as opposed to at its legit quiescent state. One of the only cosmic ray point sources known to mankind, Cygnus X3, the massive X-ray binary. Also one of the brightest stars in the sky and one of the most luminous intrinsic object in the Milky Way galaxy, the tail of the swan of the constellation Cygnus, known as Deneb. Next, we're going to look at some cosmic rays here. Here's Apatity and Barentsburg. And there you can see a small uptick in cosmic ray flux at Apatity over the past 30 days. Here is Barentsburg. A little more flat, a tiny uptick there as well. Next, we'll look at Athens, Greece, a location much farther south, and hence much farther from the geomagnetic pole, but nonetheless showing a fairly flat, slightly down-ticked graph over the past 30. Next, Mexico City. Mexico City is quite flat over the past 30 days, as you can see. And by the way, this is one of the cosmic ray observatories where you can view old data to see the last solar minimum had a higher cosmic ray flux level than this one. By the way, Moscow's got some interesting stuff on their page. We're not going to cover it today. We'll do it in a later video. And Oulu, Finland, and DOMC Antarctica are the final cosmic ray monitors we'll check out. There's Oulu, quite flat over the past 30 days. There's DOMC Antarctica, showing some spotty data, and flat over the past 30 days as well. DOMB Antarctica not returning data. It's winter time in Antarctica. If you want to monitor this yourself, just look up Network of Cosmic Ray Stations at some Russian site, cr0.izmiran.ru. You get it. By the way, thanks to our patrons, the true source of funding for these videos. Please consider becoming a patron and increasing the probability that these videos will remain free and publicly visible, as the likelihood of that goes down and down as our funding evaporates. Speaking of funding, making the merchandise, the 3C405 shirts, aren't going to really get us any funding whatsoever. We're not looking to do it to make a profit. We're just looking to do it to sell some interesting shirts and perhaps get some wheels turning about cosmology. We're also on Subscribestar, and we've got other links to help fund our organization below the video. Please check those out. Also, please don't forget to press like and subscribe on YouTube. Share with your friends. Share with your foes. Share with your neutrals. Tell your science pros and your science noobs. We're also on BitChute. Thanks everybody leaving comments there. We appreciate that. And we're approaching 200 subscribers over there. And by the way, we get hundreds and hundreds of more views per day over on BitChute than on YouTube. And that's part of the reason why we have YouTube exclusives, like this one from March 23rd, when I talked about how COVID-19's been cured by hydroxychloroquine and azithromycin. And today's video is not being streamed live to Twitch, but check us out there anyway. And welcome to the daily smAsho stream Smash Lights section, where we intentionally create highlights and lowlights. Today's is going to feature some cosmology. So first we're going to talk about supernova Cassiopeia A and about how there's a rare metal abundance there, suggesting there must be a companion star, and exposing a lack of tools in the cosmic toolbox. So because we've got things like gravity, inertia, impacts being some of the only tools in the toolbox of the science of cosmology, if you want to call it science at this point, this is a problem. And it's because the metallicity of Cassiopeia A's supernova remnant shell must be because there was a companion star. And this is the same explanation you get about practically everything in cosmology right now. And it's because standard cosmology does not believe that metals come from any place besides the core of stars. But it's looking more and more obvious that metals are actually created in the atmospheres of stars, and condensed matter makes up the cores of stars, not plasma, and not a nuclear fusion reactor going on in there, an idea so outdated that it came out in the 1800s. So another interesting article here in that it flies completely in the face of the nuclear fusion dynamo model of star formation and life cycles. The fact is we know nothing about stellar life cycles. We've never seen a star born or die. And just because we've seen stars wink out and stop emitting light doesn't mean that there's no star there. Let's just move on to invite all of our viewers of the video content to check us out on Instagram. You may see great posts like this showing the nullschool.net data about Saharan dust just from this morning, or perhaps lovely nature videos. Now this is on YouTube also, but this one's not on BitChute. So you may want to check out the Instagram page. We think it's pretty good. It's got all kinds of varieties of different subject matter. Everywhere from trolling scammers using Gary Johnson memes to nature videos like this one. Instagram.com/smashamash. Did you know I'm a cyclist, project manager, producer, writer, scientist, contractor, content creator, influencer, and electromagnetic field emitter? Let's talk about bike racing. There's some going on tomorrow at the Royersford High School, and we're excited to see that happen. Shout out to Colleen. And we did a video with Colleen a couple days ago. We're looking to do another one soon. A more in-depth video about things like nutrition, metabolism, glucose, and glucose monitoring. if you want to hear more about the race, well, it's Pickle Juice Race Series number 1 of 4, and registration is closed for this event now. I would just note one thing, that racers and spectators must comply with CDC state and county regulations. Failure to do so will result in denial of race entry and will be asked to leave the event. Due to the recent Pennsylvania state mandate, all racers will be required to wear a mask when racing or when social distancing cannot be performed. Riders will be disqualified if they arrive at the start line without a mask on. Multiple tables will be set up for number pickup, and hand sanitizer will be available. A neutral first lap of the race will be performed to avoid crowds before the start and close proximity on the start line. Podium winners will be asked to stay on their respective steps and not gather on the top step for photos. Toilets will be available with appropriate sanitation. Please be respectful to each other's space and safety. So again, shout out to Colleen. Let's hope you have full fields since registration's closed. Not sure exactly. Let's see, field limits. I'm not sure what the field limits are there. So, but there are more events coming up, and this one is in a great venue. Again, it's around a high school compound, and the parking's outside of the race, so that's always a good thing, as you can arrive and leave the race without having to have marshals escort you across the race course. So it looks great. I heard it's a great surface and so on, and I'm still thinking about going down there and checking it out. But unfortunately, I have a ride planned tomorrow, so I'm going to have to miss out on that one, as I've considered heading down there with a full hazmat suit on so I can film from wherever I want using a tripod, such as this one, as this tripod is not yet smashed or mashed. And let's move on to talking about some Godzilla dust, harkening back to my Instagram post, described as amazing by NASA astronaut aboard space station. Yes, they can see it from space, folks. So another interesting article here. Another interesting me learning how to speak English while talking about the SciTech Daily article. Godzilla dust cloud. And again, please leave us a comment, whether you're viewing on YouTube or you're viewing on BitChute, as we are not streaming live today. Let's talk about solar radiation, part of the reason why we've made the channel, because space exploration has moved into a new era. And being a forward-looking organization and entity, I prefer to have myself leveraged for reality. So the Earth's magnetotail affects the amount of solar radiation striking the moon. When the moon is out between the Earth and the sun, it receives a completely different radiation profile than when it's in the magnetotail. And I won't get into the full magnetohydrodynamics of how that works, but it's quite interesting. And it's quite relevant for folks that will be headed back to the moon shortly. So again, this is part of the reason why we've made the channel in the first place, and part of the reason why we're constantly considering deleting the channel or making it private so nobody can view any of the videos, because of things like algorithms, shadow bans, etc. So anyway, there's a little animation kind of showing what happens when the solar output profile changes. And my browser is frozen right now. Let's see if it'll function. There we go. All right, so here you can see it's probably a proton event, but it's showing you how the Earth's magnetotail is affected by this, as the plasma all gets stripped out and mixed around, and the velocities all change. So this is going to be a thing that'll be measurable from the surface of the moon. It'll be interesting as far as radiation levels go, And part of the reason why folks monitor things like the solar output is to be able to forecast this sort of stuff. And it's very hard to do because of things like coronal hole wind streams. Let's talk about some interesting scenarios going on in the middle of the Milky Way galaxy, giving us insight into how the galactic core behaves and is shaped. Another SciTech Daily article here. The red flag revealing clues about our galaxy. And it's, it's pretty interesting. The tilted disk gives us insight into the plasmasphere of the galactic core. It's at a weird angle, and this is one of the many reasons why the solar system is not directly affected by the galactic core. So let me cut the volume on that and shrink it down a little bit. Show you this animation here. And it's just a small segment of the galactic core region, and it's being measured here in radio, I believe. Let me check on that actually. It's looking at emission spectra. So once again, the emission spectra does not necessarily line up with what you would call mainstream cosmology, but it is still interesting data. And so this structure here gives us some idea of how the poloidal and toroidal fields are associated with the core of the galaxy. And keep in mind, we don't see it from this perspective. This is just a model. So you can see this looks like a poloidal field, and this is probably a poloidal field. And as you can see, it's very warped as far as the galactic plane goes. And that has to do with the propagation of how energy comes out of the galactic core, and has to do with whether or not you're affected by it. Now, I think the energy propagates through the spiral arms, but that's for a whole nother video, a cosmology segment. And keep in mind, we can't see the Milky Way from that perspective. We're looking at it from the edge of the disk. And there's where you see that structure. So you can see it's very, very heavily tilted with respect to where our solar system is located, as the galactic disk is like this. And you can see that structure. We're actually able to see through part of the center of it, and that's part of the reason why it's a thing. The dark, dusty center oddity moving in the direction of Earth, or at least part of it is. By the way, there's a stunning celestial fireworks celebration at the birth of a colossal star structure. What? I don't even know what this is about. I don't even know if I opened this tab. And frankly, my dear, it's Independence Day, and I don't give a damn. Let's talk about China and COVID and how scary and spooky it is. It's China and COVID. It's scaring me. Is it scaring you? Oh, OMG, I'm so scared. I'm freaking spooked about COVID and propaganda. Oh no! Oh my God. I'm going to have to do a for you again. Oh, I got him. All right, cool. So yeah, COVID. Have you learned how to say China by talking out of the top of your face? Now, great theatrical performers will talk from the bottom of the gut, from below their navel, out of their very loins. But if you're going to say China, you want to talk only out of the top half of your face. Just talk out of the top half of your face, from the nose up. You could say China, China. Please make Earth not suck again, and Mensa it China. Make Earth not suck. Let's talk about Tom Wolfe, Pennsylvania's top COVIDiot. Wolfe's mask order inflames partisan fight over virus. I guess they think it's partisan, or they think it's science, or they don't know what the hell they're talking about. Because, by the way, I don't know if you're aware, but requiring healthy people to wear masks is idiotic. COVID-idiotic, indeed. Like Tom Wolfe. So Pennsylvania's top two COVIDiots are indeed Tom Wolfe and Rachel Levine, and they could take a whole truckload of masks and they can cram them you know where. Perhaps into a warehouse or a repository of useful protective health equipment, personal protective equipment, and not on everybody's faces all day for no reason. So we urge you, Governor Tom Wolfe, to perhaps grow a brain. We like to put out constructive criticism and stop requiring people wear protective personal protective equipment when it's not necessary. So if you're sick, please stay home, like always. Or if you must go out, wear a mask. And otherwise, please stop requiring people who aren't sick to wear masks. It's the dumbest idea in the history of human civilization. Let's talk about holiday humor. Since Democrats like Tom Wolfe would like to celebrate Independence Day, it's a good pause to think every year about how we're completely and utterly dependent on the government for everything, said Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi. We have to give up all our rights to the government to find out how dependent we can be. Yeah. We should take a moment and be thankful for that. You know, I was around on the first Dependence Day when Paul Washington and George Revere rode their donkeys into the holy city of Washington. Thanks, government. You're doing a fine job. You totally haven't demonstrated how you're non-essential personnel. And I guess HuffPo is mad because Trump went to Mount Rushmore. And I guess he didn't wear a mask or whatever he did or didn't do. HuffPo's mad about it. Let's talk about liberty. Have you noticed a little bit of your
liberty
is being eroded? Well, to define it, as according to Merriam-Webster, it is the power to do as one pleases, freedom from physical restraint, freedom from arbitrary or despotic control, the positive enjoyment of various social, political, or economic rights and privileges, the power of choice, right or immunity enjoyed by prescription or grant, permission to especially go freely when specified limits, and action going beyond normal limits, such as a breach of etiquette or prosperity, risk or chance, a violation of rules or a deviation from standard practice, or a distortion of fact, a short authorized absence from naval duty. Let's talk about freedom. The quality or state of being free, such as the absence of necessity, coercion, or constraint in choice of action. Have you noticed some problems with your
freedom
lately? Well, happy Independence Day. And we encourage you to be independent from tyranny. Freedom can also be described as liberation from slavery or restraint from the power of another, the quality or state of being exempt or released, usually from something onerous. Unrestricted use, ease or facility, the quality of being frank, open, or outspoken, improper familiarity, boldness or conception or execution, political right, franchise or privilege. See what I'm saying? Have you noticed problems with your
freedom?
Have you seen governments doing things that impinge on your
freedom?
Are you on a quest for
freedom
because you live someplace in or outside of the U.S. and you're noticing that you've subscribed to a global propaganda pandemic and survived a global pandemic? So far. Please leave us a comment and let us know what you would like to see on the merch. We're still at odds whether we'd like the first merch to be I've survived a global pandemic so far, or Cough on Me, or 3C405 Radio Galaxy, smAsho.org, or perhaps Fisher Price, My First Pandemic. Let us know. Let's talk about Google, a huge purveyor of propaganda. Take it away, Dr. Robert Epstein, somebody who's been studying this for quite a few years, especially following the 2016 debacle, where Google made it super obvious that it was trying to affect the election.
They have any kind of allegiance to a candidate or a party.
And looking forward, if I understood your testimony correctly, You said in subsequent elections, Google and Facebook and Twitter and big text manipulation could manipulate as many as 15 million votes in a subsequent election?
It's true, folks. It's true. By the way, we've created a whole topic on this. So please stop using Google as a verb. Google is a scam. Google is not a verb. Stop being sheeple, you cretins. Let's read a Thomas Jefferson quote about liberty. I think we have more machinery of government than is necessary. Too many parasites, who are overpaid, by the way, living on the labor of the industrious. Sound familiar? Hey, Tom Wolfe, give me a call. My attorneys will contact your attorneys. And so I'd invite everybody to either vanish from existence or make America not suck again. Or if you prefer Mensa, make Earth not suck again by not being such covidiots, mankind. And here ends today's Smash Flights segment. Let's talk about Comet Atlas. It's finally visible to the naked eye. Let's get back to solar data. 10.7 centimeter radial flux is at 69 solar flux units. Please leave a comment if it's your favorite number, as today is your day of independence to do whatever the hell you want. Let's hope it's not outside the confines of the law. X-ray flux is pretty flatlined, although we're looking at increased probability of some more X-ray flares, as we have a sunspot near the solar equator, a cycle 24 sunspot, the first one of about the last 18 umbra that have appeared. We'll see if it gets named, and I think it probably will, because it's got 2 umbrae of opposite polarities. Proton flux is flatlined, and the Gauss magnetometer is very spiky here. It's kind of, it's like, whoa, very spiky. And that was forecasted yesterday. Normally this is a little smoother like this. Actually, more like this. And we see very spiky stuff here because of what we see on the Gong 2. And there's the Gong 2 data. The top view ecliptic plane field plot. And we see some big striations in the B field, which have now returned back to a more solar minimum style state. I would note the activity out here by stereo A. Those aren't spaceships. Those are solar magnetism interacting with solar plasma on the surface of the star. Nothing to do with what's going on the interior of the star. We won't talk about it because this, again, is the daily space weather, not a cosmology segment. So here's a line of sight field plot, and you see this big striation here in the B field. And that has to do with these sunspots down here. Since then, the B field has reset, shown here in blue. It's gonna be back into a more symmetrical state here from the perspective of Earth. Here's the view from stereo A. And we saw some coronal mass ejections over the past 2 days in the non-Earth facing area out here. None in the Earth facing area. And here's a LASCO C2. This one's in between the Earth and the Sun, unlike stereo A, which is about 3 months behind the Earth orbitally speaking. Nothing to write home about there. And again, happy Independence Day. We hope you're independent from tyranny, nonsense, lies, and covidiocy. Although if you're on the internet, chances are you are not going to be disconnected from propaganda. Thanks again for tuning in. Anyway, there's the LASCO C3 stuff. Here's where planets are in the solar system. And if you don't understand the distinction between Uranus and a hole in the ground, well, here's the distinction. All the planets in the whole solar system are on one side of the sun right now, which means we're all going to die. We're all going to die. OMG, make sure you subscribe to Mr. MBB333, a total hack on YouTube with 6-figure subscribers, and we can't make it to 2,000. Next, looking at the star charts. Because, by the way, in-the-sky, we'll show you what's going on above your head and where things like Deneb are, even in the daytime, because that's actually, it's right there. And if you're in the northern hemisphere, this thing's been sending protons through your brain for your entire lifetime. I don't know if you're aware. But we've got some stars up there in the sky. We've got Mercury. We've got the Sun. We've got Venus. And we've got Mars. That's where things are located. in-the-sky.org. It's where I go for my star charts. What say you? Electron flux is totally flatlining. Look, check out the tangential flatlining. It's not as low as it was back here, but it's awfully low and consistently low. There's the 3-day. And we see consistent, very low electron flux. Here's the total electron content all the way from the thermosphere down to the ionosphere. And we see anomalies once again. If you look over the Caribbean there, south of Cuba, for instance, we see nighttime electron flux events causing GPS errors, which usually at nighttime should be fairly simmered down, but they haven't been. Possibly an indication about the geomagnetics of planet Earth. Here's just the ionosphere layer, and it's very anomalous. It's the past 6 hours here. And the nighttime phase of the planet is extremely anomalous, very discharged, and indeed the daytime is too. So the ionosphere is nice and anomalous here for the 4th of July. Check it out. Latest image there at 11:45 as we come at you very, very late. And we don't even view the live premiere until after we do a bike ride. So pardon the lateness. If you don't like it, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Too bad. Here's the past 24 of earthquakes. Hours, that is. And we see nothing over a 6 magnitude. Significant quake in Puerto Rico. Shout out to Peter Schiff. Here's a deep one at Argentina. It's 215.3 kilometers depth. And next we are back. See? To talk about volcanoes. At volcanodiscovery.com. The July 4th edition includes Abico producing a 12,000 above sea level ash plume. Tucono exploding, flight level 7,000 there. Popocatépetl exploding, flight level 19,000 there. Sangay exploding, flight level 20,000 there. Sabancaya exploding, flight level 24,000 there. Please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera. No matter how independent you feel, it may be a bad day to tightrope walk, pole vault, do a back handspring, or the triple Lindy over the caldera of Sabancaya down there in Peru. Oh, jeez. Next, looking at windy.com to show you pressure zones. And advance this thing into the GFS forecast. Pausing it at tomorrow at 12 noon, my time. And I'm located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. And I don't know why it didn't pause. Let's go back. Back to 12 noon again. And windy.com, you son of a... I'm going to come over there and find your servers, and I'm going to kick them. Kick them with my face. I'm going to put my face... I'm going to smash your face with my foot. Smash your foot with my face. Anyway, there's where things will be at 12 noon tomorrow, our time. And we're located in Lehigh Valley, Pennsylvania. Here's where lightning's striking. And son of a beehive, there's some lightning striking. Check out check out lightningmaps.org. Check out all the lightning over Europe. Geez, oh whiz. Well, goodness graciousness me. I don't know what the heck those places are, but anyway, let's see what's going on in the U.S. Oklahoma. Hey, McAllister, there's thunder rolling in. Wow, that's a concentrated one. Here's water vapor maps for Oceania. Not Oceania, Europe and Africa. Here's water vapor maps for the Far East and Oceania. By the way, I would note all of the Saharan dust showing up on the water vapor map, showing dry regions. Here's a water vapor map for the Americas. And it's quite a dynamic system there. Things are all over the place around the equator. Here's a U.S. water vapor map. Let's zoom in. And we've got fairly dry air aloft over Pennsylvania, despite it being foggy where I am. We could get some mixed weather coming through here as we see some moisture creeping in an odd north to south pattern. Very strange. Let's make a picnic prediction for all of you Pennsylvania Independence Day outside revelers. Please leave a comment if you're going to wear a mask and look like a complete COVIDiot today. So we see this system going due south. And it's gonna be a cool day, and the temp it's gonna be variable. In fact, let's actually for once take a look at the shortwave to see where clouds are, because our local viewers may be interested in having some idea of what shall happen. And I think there's going to be some clouds forming. It's going to cloud up, folks. I apologize for this temporary aside. So as that cold air moves south, dew points are going to change. And there could be some rain coming our way here in Pennsylvania. Here's the current radar. Not radar. Yeah, Doppler radar. Here's the current Doppler radar. That's what it's called. And we see some pretty severe storms there over northeastern North Dakota. Most of the state of North Dakota getting rain. And thanks, SMAsh team, for tuning in. Remember, please share on your social media. Please press like or dislike. Please leave a comment, whether it's pure hate, death threats, or whatever you like. Leave us a comment. We take it all in stride, and we don't mind. Tell your friends, tell your foes, tell your science noobs, tell your science pros. And thanks for flying American Smashways. Allow me to vanish and thank you for flying American Smashways. Please keep your head and arms inside the Smash plane as we show you 3 bonus features, including some ombre. And there they are, likely to be named Sunspot 2766. And I'm pretty sure it's beta class already, as we see likely 2 opposite polarities. Let's take a look. And indeed, those polarities are opposite, making that a beta class sunspot. Very likely to be named 2766, if my memory serves, and it usually does. It's like a steel trap. And let's look at one more view here. The 171 angstroms, my favorite. Again, happy Independence Day, folks. We hope you are independent from nonsense, lies, and propaganda, and are able to think for yourself. Have some discernment. Stare at the sun. Attempt to understand the physics of cosmology. Look for a later video coming out today featuring Eugene Bagashov. Shout out to Eugene. Welcome to the Neo-Renaissance, and may that solar wind be at your back, that atherosclerosis absent from your arteries, and that covidiocy absent from wherever you happen to be.